We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Biden announces re-election bid, media firings, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. President Biden formally announced on Tuesday that he is running for re-election in 2024. He asked voters for another term to, quote, finish the job, unquote, that he started. Biden, already the country's oldest president, would be 86 at the end of his second term, and he has faced concerns about his age, but he presented his more than 50 years of experience in Washington as one of his key advantages. In a recent NBC poll, 70% of Americans, including 51% of Democrats, do not want Biden to run. The New York Times ran an editorial over the weekend stating that Biden will have to address his failing faculties. Biden announced via video that did not mention any accomplishments from the Biden campaign and repeated Biden's lies about voter suppression and Social Security rather than having to make a coherent speech. The announcement comes on the 4-year anniversary of when Biden declared he was running to challenge then-President Donald Trump in 2019. CNN This Morning co-host Don Lemon tweeted Monday that his agent told him CNN had terminated him. "I am stunned," Lemon said. "After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly." Lemon faced intense criticism for his treatment of women starting in February when he said former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, now running for the Republican presidential nomination, wasn't in her prime at age 51. Lemon was held off the air for several days and apologized for the comment, which he called inartful and irrelevant. Over the past several years, Lemon's news coverage has been highly criticized for partisanship, and he was removed from his primetime show due to dropping ratings. Tucker Carlson, Fox News' top-rated primetime host, has left the cable network. Carlson, whose show averaged more than 3 million nightly viewers, was among the Fox hosts who had been expected to testify in the Dominion Voting Systems defamation lawsuit against Fox News before the case was settled. Carlson came under scrutiny after Dominion's lawyers released private text exchanges among several Fox stars. In one, Carlson said he hated former President Donald Trump passionately. Carlson said Trump's claims about voter fraud costing him the 2020 election were insane. Susan Rice, President Biden's domestic policy advisor, plans to step down next month, NBC News reported Monday, citing current and former administration officials. Rice oversaw some of the most controversial issues during her tenure, including immigration. White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients credited Rice with taking Biden's agenda and the Domestic Policy Council to new heights. Rice served as National Security Advisor under then-President Barack Obama. Biden put her on his short list for vice president and surprised some political strategists when he chose her for the domestic policy job, since her experience was focused on foreign policy. Jeff Shell was forced to resign as NBC Universal CEO after an internal investigation corroborated allegations of sexual harassment against Hadley Gamble, a CNBC overseas correspondent. The investigation into Mr. Shell arose from a complaint by my client of sexual harassment and sex discrimination, Suzanne McKee, a managing partner of Farrar Law, who represents Gamble, said in a statement to CNN. Given these circumstances, it is very disappointing that my client's name has been released and her privacy violated. Gamble, based in Abu Dhabi, anchors the Capital Connection broadcast. The White House announced Monday that President Biden would veto bipartisan legislation reversing a rule allowing Chinese solar panel manufacturers to sidestep tariffs. Biden's veto promise comes less than a year after he announced his administration would implement a 2-year pause on the enforcement of solar panel anti-circumvention tariffs amid pressure from environmental groups and the clean energy industry. Months earlier, the Commerce Department had opened a probe into whether Chinese manufacturers were illegally routing solar panels through Southeast Asia to avoid U.S. tariffs. Then in December, the Commerce Department released preliminary investigation findings showing that 4 large solar companies had in fact routed products through Cambodia, Malaysia, and Vietnam to circumvent duties. But with Biden's tariff enforcement moratorium in effect, the agency hasn't enforced trade laws prohibiting such activity. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held a meeting with Hunter Biden at the State Department in July 2015 when he was serving as Deputy Secretary of State in the Obama-Biden administration, and Hunter was on the board of Ukrainian energy firm Burisma, according to emails reviewed and verified by Fox News Digital. The ties between Blinken and Hunter Biden could face increased security after former CIA Deputy Director Michael Morell testified to the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees last week that Blinken, as President Biden's then campaign senior advisor, played a role in the inception of the public statement signed by intelligence officials claiming Hunter's abandoned laptop was part of a Russian disinformation campaign just weeks before the 2020 presidential election. Emails from the infamous abandoned laptop that Blinken sought to discredit show that Hunter has ties to Blinken and his wife, Evan Ryan, dating back over a decade, having scheduled meetings with him while he was on the board of Burisma and Blinken was Deputy Secretary of State. General Motors plans to end productions of its electric Chevrolet Bolt models by the end of this year, CEO Mary Barra told investors Tuesday when discussing the company's first quarter earnings. The Chevy Bolt EV and EUV, a larger version of the car, make up the vast majority of the company's electric vehicle sales to date. However, the battery cells in the cars are an older design and chemistry than the automaker's newer vehicles, such as the GMC Hummer and the Cadillac Lyriq, Barra said. A suburban Detroit plant that has produced Bolt models since 2016 will be retooled in preparation for production of electric trucks scheduled for next year. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.